Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you will set again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out the show, all Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you will say again. Idle champions.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another Gaarawarr's Guide here on Saturday, if you're watching us live. I'm Gaarawarr, and today we're talking about Ahghairon's Day, or Ahghairon's Day, or Aquarian's Day, or whatever you want to call it. But it's the event that's going on right now in Idle Champions that brought the return of Omen Drawn and Jim Dark Magic, along with the arrival for the first time of Prudence. Prudence, yay! So we're going to talk about all three of those champions. We're going to talk about the event. We're going to talk about their variants. We're going to talk about just event stuff in general. We're going to claim an Electrum chest with our code. Yeah. And if you didn't know already, the codes only go live once someone actually appears on the stream. Like, so during the intros, folks, like whether it's music or just a screen or whatever, code doesn't get updated. So, patience. So if you haven't been to a Saturday show before, know that the first hour-ish tends to be just me talking about these topics. It's the second hour or so that people that I will answer questions from chat. That doesn't mean you have to wait to ask questions. You can ask them now. It's just they're not going to get answered until the second half of the show. We have Martin on the CNE Games account today in chat, moderating and also pulling questions from chat. So we will get to that as well. I seem to be doing a free play. Imagine that. This is kind of what I do in my free time. Is that why they call them free play? No, that's not why they call them free play. All right. So for events, we come out here, and normally you would I guess you could, here, hold on. Bam, there, right. At the top left of the screen, you'll see the Ahghairon's Day now. On some platforms. On some platforms, it's still at the bottom of the banner. It is what it is, folks. So, basically, if you want to do that, you head over, you click on that when the event comes out. And you start the fun. This is going to take you to this map screen, which just has the one quest node on it. You'll see Reclaiming the Past is the name of the base adventure. And my voice already acting up. Hold on. All right. Reclaiming the Past is the name of the basic adventure in this. Each base adventure has 3 different variants. The variant names and functionalities are different for each champion, so we'll go over all of those. So basically, once you start your adventure, or you start the event, once it begins, you're going to want to pick one of these to start. It'll say adventure and not free play. And the reward down here will actually be the champion. So the first one's Jim, the second one's Omen, third one's Prudence. Prudence is the year 4 champion, Omen is the year 3 champion, Jim is the year 2 champion. The year 1 champion, I believe it was Ishii, is now only available in time gates. So if you're looking for Ishii and want to do Ishii's achievements and whatnot, that is only available through a time gate that she can arrive in a natural time gate as part of one of the guaranteed year 1 options, or you can pick her in a manual time gate. That's your choice. These base unlock adventures have no restrictions to them. You just have to complete Area 50. Now, I do recommend when doing these that you treat each of these base unlock adventures as a favor run, meaning we want to build up the favor that you have in the event. You're going to start at 0. That's the way events always work. You want to push as far as you can, which, on your first run, if you're brand new, that may only be into the 50s. It may be hard getting past 50. But get as much favor as you can. Sit and farm favor for a half an hour to an hour at kind of the furthest place you can push. Then reset and then do the next one. And do it the same way. That way, by the time you end these 3 unlocks, these 3 basic adventures, and you've gotten all 3 champions, you've built up a decent pool of favor, and then you can go do free plays. And I notice I did not say variants. You do want to do the variants for these, because each variant rewards you a guaranteed gold chest for that champion. However, until they all show like this, until they all show up as green and easy, difficulty easy, generally speaking, on an event, you don't want to attempt them. The reason being that each one of these is going to cost these event tokens, which are loot strings for this event. It's going to cost these event tokens to even attempt it. And if you fail, you're just out of those tokens. Now, these tokens can be used not only to complete these adventures, but to run free plays. Free plays grant you more gear for your champions, so you don't want to waste tokens in an event. You want to give yourself the best shot to complete these on the first try. And my recommendation for that is at least waiting until they show as easy. Now, you still have to take in mind the restrictions, and we're going to talk about that. But when you start off, do those 3 unlock missions, and then do free plays. Just find a good free play formation. As you can see, each one of the formations is different. Jim's looks like a chalk outline of a dead body on a ground. Omen's is I don't even know. It's there. And Prudence's is actually pretty decent. Prudence is actually pretty decent. You get a double tank front line, and you get a lot of adjacencies, which champions like, support champions like. So push for favor. If anyone's curious, my recommendation for this event is definitely Prudence's formation for favor. Get a lot of favor. Once these all show as green, then start looking at the restrictions to see if you want to do them. So, Spelling Bee. This is Jim's first variant. The first variants are always you have to get to level 75, area 75. The second 125, the third 175. So you have to push deeper each time. That means you're going to need different amounts of favor for each one. I broke this down in my guide to Ahghairon's Day and all the event guides that I do. There's a little table that roughly tells you what you're looking for. I believe it's, off the top of my head, I want to say around EO4 for the 75 one. E6 or E7 for the 125, and E8-ish for the 175. Generally speaking, though, if you can push all the way to E10, you should have no major issues completing these variants. And anything above that is just, bonus. Like, I have E36. Yeah. Spelling Bee. So, gotta get to 75. The champions continue to struggle to spell and pronounce Ahghairon's Day. So spelling bees spawn at random. Hello, bees. Whenever a bee is killed, it decreases the damage of whoever killed it by 90% for 20 seconds. The effect stacks multiplicatively, and the cooldown resets if they kill another bee before it expires. This is problematic. Right? 90% isn't... well, when you start off, 90% is a lot. But again, you want to come in with a decent amount of favor. So waiting until everything shows is green tends to make this one super easy, because you can click kill most things and thus you don't get these debuffs, or you can just over level your champions to the point where 90% even stacking multiplicatively doesn't take their damage down too low. However, if you attempt this a little earlier than maybe was wise, one way you can swap things out is to change your who your primary DPS is during your run. If their damage starts to get super low, swap in a different one that doesn't have those debuffs. let things diminish and change, and bring them back in after it wears off. It creates a more active play, but if you're going to try to attempt it before might be wise, then that's just what you're going to have to do to complete it. Magical Misadventure, only champions whose base attacks are magic can be used. This obviously creates an interesting limitation. Now there are a number of champions in the game that have base attacks magic, but not necessarily if you're still functioning off of your core champions, like that starting lineup. You will have a Shara for DPS, and that's going to be solid and help you out a lot, but you still need to build out a support team around her. So keep in mind that if you can't flesh out a full formation, the best, and you don't think you can, what you want to do is not go attempt this. You want to go do a free play for Jim, but you want to restrict yourself to just magic base attacks champions to try out and see what happens. See how far you can get. If you can get to 125, then great. Then you're ready to do Magical Misadventure. If you can't, then just swap in a full formation and push deep and get more favor so that you can try again on the next one, right? So this is a way you can use free plays to actually test the strategies that you're going to use in these variants before you go spending loot strings and potentially losing them if you can't complete it. Center of the Multiverse, Jim starts out in the formation and can't be moved. Only formation slots which Jim narrowly considers useful to himself can be used. So he puts himself right here in the middle. Jim has an ability that we'll talk about soon that he likes people to be in front of or behind him. So he's going to want to be here, and he thinks the rest of these are useless. So you're limited to 7 champions. You've lost 3, and that's a lot of power to lose when you're trying to go to 175. So this is a difficult variant. You have to use Jim. So that can be limiting as well. So again, this may be one you want to test out in a free play. You just want to put Jim here and then only fill in these and see if you can get to 175. If you can, great. Great. Now it's time to go run Center of the Multiverse. If you can't, again, you're going to have to push and get more favor to make up for the lack of power coming from those 3 slots. And usually it might, like my recommendation is around EO2 more gold for each slot you've lost, which, could put this up there a lot. It may not require that. You may have enough of a bench to do this without having to make that up. But if you're on a brand new account, it may very well take that kind of power to make up for the lack of champions that you have. Omen with this, I don't know, is it a lizard? I don't know. That kind of looks like a lizard with a tail? Who knows? It's like some of these formations are like Rorschach tests, I feel like. What is it you see there? Lords of Waterdeep is the first one. Don't be afraid of all those red X's. This was a little... Sometimes they don't really tell us enough information, and this time they're almost telling us too much information. What they're trying to tell you is that you could potentially lose every single slot in this formation if you push deep enough, but if you're just getting to 75, that's not going to happen. So a Mass Lord takes up a slot in your formation. An additional Mass Lord joins your formation every 25 areas. So you're going to end up losing, again, 3 slots to complete 75. You don't want to push further than that. There's no point. With variants, generally speaking, there's no reason to push past their completion point. There are exceptions to that rule, but usually you're not missing a whole lot if you just get to the completion point and then bail. Keep in mind that this one, you are going to lose those slots over time. So make sure, again, that you're going in with lots of favor. This one I think is easier because you only have to get to 75. So if you just wait to make sure that Fortune Favors the Bold shows as easy, then you can probably just stomp right through Lords of Waterdeep. Vajra's Command, only champions with a Constitution score of 14 or higher, or an Associate of Omen can be used. Associates of Omen include champions with the Ahg Inc. or C-Team affiliation. So if you have a broad bench that has a lot of Ahg Inc. and C-Team members, well, these are Omen and Jim are the only two C-Team members. So as long as you have Omen and Jim, you can use them both. But if you have the other C-Team members that are part of Ahg Inc., then you can use them. Otherwise, you are restricted to that con of 14 or higher. So again, this is one of those situations where you can in a free play, you can just test out and look and see who am I going to be able to build a formation with. Do I have empty slots? Can I push to 125 even with those empty slots? And with this limited formation, like with the people I'm forced to use, try them out first. You don't have to bang your head against this in an event you don't want to. You want to use those free plays to your favor. See what I did there? Fortune favors the bold. Omen begins in the formation and cannot be moved or removed, so it's time to learn how to use Omen. Whenever a champion kills a non-boss enemy, the base attack cooldown of champions adjacent to them is reduced for their next attack. Whenever a champion attacks but does not kill a non-boss enemy, that enemy moves faster and deals more damage. This effect can stack. What does this tell us? Well, the first part tells us that basically we're going to get to attack real fast as long as we're killing stuff, which is good. This helps to spread Champions of Tymora. If you didn't know that already, we'll talk about that buff here, or that ability here in a bit. But attacking quickly helps to spread that throughout your whole party and give everyone the bonus from it. However, what this really tells us, when it says when they attack but don't kill a non-boss enemy, that enemy moves faster. This means we're going to be swarmed by enemies because we have only one DPS, generally speaking, that's going to be killing things. So you have 9 other champions that could potentially be causing these enemies to run real fast and do lots of damage. How do you combat this? Well, you can combat it in one way by getting tons of favor. So much favor that even through 175, everyone in your party is still killing enemies when they hit them. You can totally overpower this with favor. But if you can't potentially get to that amount, then you just have to make sure that you're using a very durable tank and making sure that tank has some kind of support in terms of heals. Because they're going to be potentially swarmed with enemies and taking a good amount of damage while your DPS is trying to kill them off. You're going to want a DPS that has decent wave clear, so someone with multi-attack like Ashara, or AoE like Zorbu. There's lots of other options, but you want somebody here that can really just clean everything out as quickly as possible, so that your tank doesn't have to deal with all of these fast-moving and high damage dealing enemies. Prudence, the new champion with our newest variants. The first one, giant wolf spiders arrive in each area. These spiders drop no gold, nor do they count towards quest progress. Whenever you read something like this in a variant, and this kind of thing happens a lot, basically what they're doing is they're attempting to swarm and distract you and give you lots of things to kill and potentially be overwhelmed by enemies, right? So again, this is one where you want to either make sure you have a lot of favor and you're using a multi-hit DPS so that you clear them out quickly, or you have a lot of favor so that your tank can be real beefy because you're leveling them up into their health upgrades faster. Each time a spider is killed, a random champion is stunned for 2 seconds. That's not enjoyable at all. Only champions with dex of 12 or higher can be used, so they're stacking multiple restrictions here. Fortunately, you only have to get to 75. If you have enough favor, you can click kill through all this and not worry at all, because it doesn't matter if your champions get stunned if your familiars are doing all the work for you. Otherwise, again, you're going to want to have at least enough favor to make your tanks a bit beefy, because you're going to be killing things quickly and hopefully, and things are going to get stunned, which means if your DPS is the one that gets stunned and you didn't have lots of favor going into this, your tank has to survive through that, right? In my event guides, I put up a list of the champions that have dex of 12 or higher currently, so you can check that there. For Gleefully Evil, or Gleevil, I guess as you could shorten it, only evil champions can deal damage. if you've got a lot of evil champions on your bench, now you could brink them out if you want. Prudence starts in your formation, and her base attack cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds. So they're trying to encourage you to use Prudence in this one. And, I think that's a good idea. This variant is actually a great place to get her achievement. We'll talk about her achievement when we get to her. But this is where you would want to come to farm it, because it's based off killing things. And if they're going to reduce her base attack speed, so that she attacks faster, yes please. Yes please. So that's it. That's the only restriction. Now, if all you do is just use Prudence and then everybody else is good or neutral, that's fine, because Prudence is your DPS anyway. Just know your progress is going to be slower, potentially early on, because you're not getting kills from other champions. It's only your familiars and Prudence, right? Pure Hunger, the final one. As you note down with the formation, you're going to lose a slot here. That's because they put a tentacle in that slot. No one knows what it's doing, but it's freaking most of us out. Yeah, I did not consent to tentacles in my formation. Yeah, they put this nice black tentacle of Hadar up there. And so basically you're going to be down a little power. It isn't a great position, like a great place to put like a Tyrell and Moonbeam or Makos to just be off to the side, but unfortunately they've taken that away from you. So you're gonna want a little bit more favor than usual here. Enemies move 100% faster and deal 100% additional damage. I mean, that on its own isn't horrible. However, the next sentence makes it worse. Every 25 areas, all enemies' speed and damage is increased by an additional 35%. So this just gets worse and worse. The more you push in. So again, I feel like a broken record. Make sure you have lots of favor. That way you can kill things quickly, or tank it if you can't, because they're going to get there's enemies are going to become beefy boys as they come at you, and the further you get, every 25 areas, it's just going to get harder and harder. Whenever Prudence kills an enemy, you stun all enemies for a half a second. If you want to use Prudence here, there is a bonus for that. I don't know that it's worth it. I get what they were trying to do, because if you're stunning these enemies, they're not running towards you, right? That's neat. But Prudence we're going to get to Prudence more in a bit, but Prudence is a single target DPS with a long attack cooldown. Not the greatest when you have enemies that are swarming towards your front line, especially if they're doing more damage when they get there. So just keep that in mind. Even though they're giving you a bonus for Prudence, you may want to go with somebody that has much better wave clear. Alright, those are our variants. Remember, if you're unsure of whether you can complete that or not before going in, please try to do it in a free play. Obviously, you can't recreate some of these. Like, you can't recreate this. But what you can do is you can set yourself a higher goal. And say, well, I can't recreate Pure Hunger, but what I can do is, instead of 175, I can try to get to like 225, 250. If I have the power to get to like 250, I probably can do this. Like, that's what you can tell yourself, right? So keep that in mind. That's how you would try to prepare a little more for this. But also just make sure you're at least at E08, but probably E10 favor before attempting this one. It's going to be a no good, very bad day otherwise. Okay, let's hop into a Prudence free play. I've got the tokens for that. We'll talk about each of the champions, and I need to... Yep, nope. Didn't do it quick enough. Alright. Go away. Okay, can I see the rest of my formation now? I can't. Somebody cast greater invisibility, or mass invisibility on my formation, apparently. Alright. Here we go. Let's throw out a familiar. Hey, Arctic Fox. Alright. So, we have Omen, Jim, and Prudence to talk about. Let's start off with Jim Dark Magic. Actually, let's just bring them all out so they're at least sitting out here. And we'll talk about each of them in turn. Alright. There. Haboom. Let me turn off the progress. So, Jim Dark Magic. Oh, this is his skin. Hold on, let me give him his. He's got a couple skins, folks. He's got that one. He's got this Rockstar one, and then here's his regular one. So that's probably more recognizable. So Jim and Omen, clearly from Acquisitions Incorporated. Jim is a human wizard. He is DPS and support in this game, so he can fulfill both of those roles. It doesn't just have to be one or the other. His base attack is Jim's Magic Missile, so he attacks random enemies with his own brand of magic missiles. Now, if you'll note, it starts off, he just pew-pews, one out of each. He's holding 2 wands, so you get 2 separate attacks that are both going to do that base damage. Right away from Jim. Let's get him up a level. There we go. His ultimate is Jim's Magical Maelstrom, which it's probably easier to come out here. Oh, it's the same. He attacks all enemies with a showy shower of sparks. You can't miss it. All right, well, let's put that to the test. Boom, look at that. Yeah, you can't miss it. And then if you notice, there was like smoke that came up at the end that spelled out Jim, because of course it did. Of course it did. It's all about branding. It's all about branding. So, the first ability you upgrade into is going to be Magic. Increases the damage of all champions whose base attacks are magic by 50% for each such champion in the formation. So Jim very much likes it if you are using other magic users like himself. You know who else likes that? Alcoria. Alcoria likes having other magic users in the formation. So if you have both of those, these two synergize well together because you're getting bonuses off both of them for having lots of magic users. Keep that in mind if you're trying to build a Jim formation out. Whether you're using him, this is kind of a support ability, but he is a magic attack champion, so it works on him too. So whether you're using him as DPS or support, keep that in mind. The Wand of Wonder. Every 5 attacks, Jim uses their Wand of Wonder. It provides one of 4 random effects. This is probably what most people in the game use Jim for. The wand can slow its target for 15 seconds, stun its targets for 5 seconds, or transmogrify its target into an abyssal chicken with very little health, or an armored mimic that drops more gold. Note, transmogrification cannot affect boss or special creatures, so this is just generic trash mobs only. And this is what people use a Jim for probably 99% of the time. Basically, when you get into a situation where you have one normal enemy left on a screen on a boss level and you can't kill it, you Jim it. You Jim it. And that means you basically you bring Jim in just for the purpose of using his Wand of Wonder to try to turn it into an abyssal chicken and thus kill it instantly. Now, we used to also use Jim a lot for Azaka farming because of that whole turn it into an armored mimic and it drops more gold. The mimics drop 10 times more gold. The mimics used to function a little like, I don't know if the mimics got changed or if it was just Krull's change that makes them get destroyed real quick, but mimics used to be a lot more durable than they are now. So you can still try to do this with Jim. Just know that a lot of times the mimics are going to end up getting wiped out. And for 10x more gold, it used to do it just because, well, for lots of reasons. It made it easy to single out a single enemy because the mimic would stick around and thus get lots of crawl stacks on them, and then it also dropped more gold. But now it's a little harder to do that. So you could try and get lucky and get all your and farm a mimic, but it is only 10 times gold, which is nice, but not as big a deal as some of the other multipliers you can get from things, so keep that in mind. But the Wand of Wonder, turning things into a chicken, is one of the... If you've heard of... I don't know why they call it this, but if you've heard of Jimothy, which is a way to push super deep using Jim, Briv, and Human, it's based off turning something into a chicken, killing it, and having your Human... item levels up so high that you only have to kill that one thing. And then, you can have Havilar in here too for the bonus because this is a fiend. And then you're done with that level, and then Briv jumps you past any bosses, and you only ever have to kill the tiny chicken and you go super super deep and get banned if you don't stop. But yeah, or suspended, I should say. They call it the ban wall, but basically, there's if you pass level 1500, which is just a level that they've determined you're really not supposed to be at, but people use this kind of shenanigans to get there. They suspend your account for a short period of time, as long as we only did it the once. Fan club. So increase gems damage by 50% for each champion in the column in front of and behind them. So this is why in that one variant they place him in the middle, and then and you only get the columns in front or behind him, because basically they're teaching you, hey, this is how fan club works. So this is specifically when you're building a gym DPS formation. So this is something you want to work for around there. So some formations are definitely better for this than others. Some are just horrible, but like in Omen's formation is not good to try to use gym DPS. Jim's formation is decent. Yeah, I would still probably use Prudence's though. All right, specialization choices. You can either go Dark Magic Cheer Squad, or is there an Echo in here? So Dark Magic Cheer Squad increases the effect of Jim's fan club ability by 200%. So this is if you're going all in on Gym DPS, and the formation supports going all in on Gym DPS, like on the Gym fan club thing. Otherwise, increasing the effect of Jim's magic ability by 100%. That's going to be your support ability, and in some cases might do better than this. In some cases, you really got to math this out depending on the formation layout. And I want to say that's it. Yep, that's all for Jim. So, oddly enough, even though he is DPS support, he has 2 self-DPS items. Usually, a more balanced choice is to have a single DPS item and a single damage all champions item, but he gets both self-damage. You get a fan club and a magic, so both of his major abilities, you get the abilities for buffs, and then everything else is on ultimates. So that's pretty straightforward. His items are also, or his feats are also pretty straightforward. He gets the self-damage, he gets the damage all champions. He gets one that is, that does buff magic. So this is a good one to pick up if you're going to be using him just in general, because this, like if you're self DPS, you're going Elementalist and practice magic. If you're support, you're going Inspiring Leader and practice magic, right? So those are good things to pick up. I should probably buy those. You can tell I don't use Jim a whole lot, but I do bring him in. But yeah, Jim tends to get used mostly in the game currently, just to chicken things or mimic things. It happens. All right, next up, Omen Drawn. If you missed Griddle Champions yesterday, you could have seen Omen Drawn with pancake batter. That works both ways, folks. That works both ways. Omen is a half-elf cleric, the founder and head of Acquisitions Incorporated. He is a support and gold find champion, which, if you know anything about Omen, that just makes total sense. Yeah, Omen's all about that gold. His base attack is appropriate intervention, and I just realized I got to go back and talk about something about Jim. We'll do that in a second. Omen smashes the nearest enemy with his maul. Yeah, that makes sense. His ultimate is Spirit Guardian. So he summons 15 Spirit Guardians, which explode every 2 seconds, meaning this lasts about 30 seconds. Damaging all monsters in a large area. So there's a nice AoE damage boost around where that Guardian explodes. The duration of Champion of Tymora is doubled as long as the spirit remains, and we'll get to Champion of Tymora in a moment. But here's what it looks like. It's pretty cool. But you'll notice they just kind of pop out of existence, and if there were enemies around them, they would be taking massive amounts of damage. It's pretty neat. The thing I needed to mention about Jim, we're kind of probably not going to be able to demonstrate, but whenever the formation comes, anyone in the formation comes under attack, Jim jumps into his hidey box, which is a little cardboard box, and he pokes his, It's a tiny little cardboard box. I don't know how he fits in it. He pokes his little wands out and he shoots from his hidey box. So keep that in mind, because that's going to be a function of, I think, his achievement, which we can just go talk about Jim's achievements. Here we go. Yeah, have Jim kill 1 EO4 enemies, so 10,000 enemies, while hiding in his hidey box. So this is what his hidey box looks like. He's got his wands poking out of it. One of his doves is sitting on top. And he just shoots out of that box. So what does this mean? This basically just means you need to push to your wall with Jim and let him kill at your wall. That's it, folks. That's how you get this achievement. It's not super difficult. You just need to use Jim as DPS, get to a wall, and have him be what's killing everything. And then you got to kill 10,000 things. So it's time consuming. But if you're just using Jim DPS, you'll get it eventually. All right, back to Omen. Shadow Council. People who watch the C Team will get this reference. Increases the damage of champions adjacent to Omen by a number. So base, starting off, Shadow Council buffs all champions that are next to Omen. Champion of Tymora. This is the one his ultimate interacts with. Every time Omen attacks, they bless all adjacent champions as a Champion of Tymora, increasing their damage for 3 seconds. There is information missing from this. You'll find it in the Champion Spotlight or in my guide. The information that is missing is vital information you need to get his achievement. And that is that once a champion that is adjacent to him becomes a Champion of Tymora, when they attack, they give Champion of Tymora to other characters adjacent to themselves. This is how you can spread Champion of Tymora throughout your entire formation. That is key to getting his achievement. Now, it is only up for 3 seconds, so this is why we were talking yesterday about ways to help to get that achievement. One way is by, using his ultimate, because when he uses his ultimate, it doubles that duration. So you have up to 6 seconds for them to attack and spread it and keep Champion of Tymora up on everyone. All right, contractual obligations. This is his gold find ability. This is what people pay a lot of attention to when they're Azaka farming. Every time a champion in the column in front of Omen attacks, there's a typo in there. They fulfill an obligation to Omen. When Omen reaches 100 obligations fulfilled, he grants a 100% gold find buff for each champion in the column in front of him for 30 seconds. So when setting up an Azaka formation, ideally you want the column in front of Omen to have the most number of champions in it. So whether it's, in some cases it might be 2, others it might be 3. If you can get 4, that's fantastic. And then you want Omen right behind that, and you want the people in that column to be somewhat the faster attackers of your gold find formation, so that they can get those obligations fulfilled quicker to keep that 100% gold find for each of them going. So this is a nice big boost. If you're not running speed potions, the animation when this occurs is Omen just gets showered with gold coins. They just start raining down on him, which has got to be his favorite dream. That's what happens when he fulfills this. If you're using the speed potions, it doesn't happen, really. Now, his specialization affects Shadow Council. So remember, Shadow Council starts off only buffing adjacent champions. So Long Lost Friends makes it now apply to non-adjacent champions and increases it by 85% for each Champion of Tymora in the formation. So 85% and anyone that has the Champion of Tymora causes it to get a bonus. So that's nice. Close Allies leaves it adjacent and increases it for 100% for each Champion of Tymora in the formation. So this, super nice, right? Functions the same way, but gives you a nice big buff for each Champion of Tymora. Assassin, Shadow Council now applies to champions farthest from Omen and is increased by 125% for each Champion of Tymora in the formation. This one is very specific to formations. You really have to place Omen correctly and have to have the right formation to pull this off. If you can do it, it has the biggest rewards. To be honest, 9 times out of 10, I just stick on Close Allies. But if I'm trying to milk every last bit of DPS out of my formation, I'm going to see if I can make Assassin work. Right? We're just going to leave it on close allies for now. Throw some more gold into Omen, because he likes that. Known associates. So the duration of Champion of Tymora is doubled. So here's another way. Here's another. You want to get to 380, basically, before you start on Omen, before you start working on his achievement. Because this doubles Champion of Tymora again, giving you a better window of opportunity to make Champion of Tymora spread throughout your formation and tick off for the time required for his achievement. It's double on champions with the Acquisitions Incorporated and or C-Team affiliation. So if you only have Jim, make sure Jim is in when you're trying to get his achievement. If you have the other C-Team members, throw them in as well, because you want to get them in so that you can keep Champion of Tymora up for as long as possible. Item-wise, he is support and gold, so he does get a Damage All Champions item. Then he has Shadow Council, Champion of Tymora, and Contractual Obligations. This is the big one if you're using him for Gold Find, right? Because we talked about that's the one that provides all the gold for you. Then he gets his ultimate stuff. Feat-wise, hey, look at that. He is a support character, so he does get the increased damage on champions. He does get very specific stuff for his, though. He gets a Shadow Council one, and he also gets a Contractual Obligations one. But he also has Lucky available, so for just flat gold find, even when you're not fulfilling contractual obligations. So he does fulfill a good role in feat-wise in terms of supporting you for gold. And if you'll notice, I've just got gold and gold. Hey. This really should be changed to a gold find icon. So yep, that's Omen. If we go look at his achievement, so you know what I'm talking about here. Army of Tymora. Maintain Champion of Tymora on all champions in the formation for at least 30 seconds. So yeah, you want to set this up. You want to set up a formation. I was talking yesterday that I think the best way to get this is Sword Coast, because it's that 9-man. That's that tight 9-man formation. But also Sword Coast's blessings support this, because if you'll remember, Omen attacks and he gives Champion of Tymora to everybody around him. So that means the 6 people around him are going to have it. You just need to worry about the edges, right? So, and then the people that are in front and behind him, when they attack, they spread it out to the edges. Well, in Sword Coast, there's blessings that speed up the base attacks for the people in the front 2 columns and the people in the back 2 columns, which is exactly what you want. You want them attacking as quickly as possible, so that they can spread and keep that up. So if you can create a situation, especially if you have C-Team members or Inc. members, where you're doing that, you're at 380, so you've doubled it to 6 seconds duration, and then you get it ready to go, and then you hit his ultimate, that's going to double it again, and then during that 30-second period, you should be keeping it up the entire time on the entire formation, because of those attack speed bonuses that come with Sword Coast. So that, I think, is the best way to try to do this. I would demonstrate it. I already have the achievement, unfortunately. But that, I feel, is the best way to really set that up and knock that out of the park. I think it really just does rely on Sword Coast. That's your best bet. And then make sure you're at least at 380 and that you're using whatever Inc. and C-Team members you might have, and fire away. Swing for the fences. All right, Prudence. Prudence is the newest champion to Idle Champions. She's a Tiefling Warlock. Warlock of the Great Old One, so Cthulhu. Eldritch Blast, as with all Warlocks, tends to have to be Eldritch Blast. That's their base attack. A beam of crackling green energy shoots towards an enemy, dealing damage. So she is a single target DPS. Because for whatever reason in this game, Eldritch Blast is a single target ability. At least for a lot of these characters. I should level her up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, the ultimate is Hunger of Hadar. She opens a gateway to the dark between the stars, damaging and pulling enemies to it. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's Warden's ultimate. This is the first time we've seen in the game. They're both warlocks of Hadar, I guess, of the Great Old One. They both pull Hunger of Hadar in and as their ultimate. It's the first time we've ever seen an ultimate just get flat out copied. But I mean, it makes sense. So, Glee. Prudence gains 1 stack of Glee each time she kills an enemy. For each stack of Glee, her damage is increased. Folks, can you tell she's an evil champion yet? For each stack of Glee, her damage is increased by 10%, stacking additively. Glee has a 25% chance to lose 1 stack whenever a champion other than Prudence gets a kill. So it's going to be a little swingy early on when someone other than Prudence is getting kills. But once you get to the point where it's just Prudence killing, it's just going to stack up. It's just going to stack up. Now, I believe at base, it's like at 10... You get 10 stacks at base, if I remember correctly. And then this is going to get modified by another ability. Delight. Increase the damage bonus of Prudence's Glee ability by 100% for each good aligned champion in the formation, stacking additively and then applying multiplicatively as damage bonuses do. You can increase the damage of each stack this way with good aligned champions. Notice everything is focusing in on Glee. And then Resolve increases the max stats of Prudence Glee by 10 for each non-good champion in the formation. And that's additive. So you can kind of choose a mix of both of these so that you're building a high number of stacks on Prudence while also multiplying that effect. Now people have done the math and there's like the perfect ratio that people want to hit to get the most amount of damage. That's great if you want to figure that out. A lot of you may just not be able to pull that formation off with good support champions and tanks, right? So in my experience, you just want to build the best formation you can, put in your strongest stuff, and then start tweaking and seeing if you can. Okay, if I do swap for a champion that maybe doesn't buff quite as much on their own, but gives me more of this, is that going to be better for me? It might be, it might not. It's going to be subjective to each of you because your champions have different gear, and you might be at different favor levels. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's like Shaka. It's not necessarily, you don't just go all out and build around this, but it is a nice bonus and fantastic if you can pull it off. But you still want to use the best possible champions that you have. And that may not always align with her Delight and Resolve abilities. Frustration. I really like this mechanic for Prudence, just for DPS in general. Every time Prudence attacks an enemy but does not kill it, she gains a stack of Frustration. Frustration stacks increase her damage, stacking multiplicatively. The maximum number of Frustration stacks is equal to the number of champions adjacent to Prudence. So she likes to be surrounded by as many people as possible. The max you're going to get there is 6. But it's going to depend on the formation. Frustration stacks are reduced by 1 each time she gets a kill. So she has her own ramping damage bonus based off whether or not she's actually killing anything or not. And I like that. I like it when they throw those on DPS champions. And effective, especially when it's a multiplicative stacking one, which they basically had to do because they cap it to adjacent champions. Now, as I pointed out before, single target DPS with a very long base attack cooldown, 7 seconds. Okay. She's got a specialization for that, though. Eldritch Torrent versus She Hungers. Eldritch Torrent, when she attacks, there is a 50% chance that her base attack cooldown will be immediately reset. This is great if you're using her as DPS, which, I mean, that's all she really does. I feel like this is where you want to go. Get her attacking as much as possible, folks, because she's a single target slow DPS, and you got a wave clear. Now, She Hungers is when she attacks, there's a 5% chance that her ultimate attack cooldown will be immediately reset. That's neat and all, but I just want to attack all the time. I want to attack all the time. So personally, I'm going to go Eldritch Torrent. Now, if you are in a situation where you need that ultimate functionality, or you're at the point in the game where ultimates are what kill things when you're near your wall, and nothing else does, then sure, I get it. That may be what you want to use, but just keep in mind that there's different functionalities involved here, and know what you're getting when you make that choice. Let's throw a lot more in her. I'm pretty sure that's it, though, if I remember correctly. And yep, that was her ultimate. That's it. So her items are, she gets one self-damage item, just the one. However, she buffs Glee, Delight, and Frustration with items, which is fantastic, right? This is the ramping DPS effect if she's not killing, and these are the, this is Glee, that's her core, and then Delight is that's the second one, right? Yeah, that's the good aligned, the bonus for good aligned. So the only thing that she's not buffing in terms of ability is the stacks based off other champions, but it makes sense that she's not buffing that. That's just raising her stack numbers. She gets her ultimate attack damage and her cooldown items. And that be all. Feats, the same self-damage, is just her core. And then she actually gets multiple Glee bonuses. She also gets a Frustration and a Delight. So those are good to pick up. Keep in mind these are the gold chest ones, so to get these larger 40% ones you're going to have to get lucky out of a gold chest, whereas you could just straight buy Delight if you'd like. And Grappler, like these would be totally fine if you just wanted to pick up chests if you're using her as a DPS. That would get you some solid numbers right away to rock Prudence. Her achievement is pretty straightforward. Have Prudence kill 1,000 enemies while she has more than 50 Glee stacks. So this basically means you need to set up a formation. I personally think you need to target 60. Don't just get her to 50 Glee stacks as her max. You need to set up a formation that builds up her so non-good champions to get her stacks up to 50. Aim for 60. Aim for 60. I just went all in and got it to 90, but with all evil champions, just because I wanted to see what that looked like. But yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. You just have to kill them. Again, you just need to get to a place where, or artificially create a place where Prudence is the only one killing. The way I did it is I leveled Prudence up a lot, but then I just brought everyone else in at level 1. And then Prudence was the one getting all the kills. And then I just got to a level where Prudence was the one that was getting all the kills, right? So you can manipulate this, but it's not super difficult. If you're just going to use Prudence a lot as a DPS, you still would have to build this formation out. So it's not necessarily naturally occurring like it is with some champions. So I think you just go build this formation. I did it in Sword Coast. I did do that a lot. And it was done real quick. I did it on day 1 within a couple hours of starting. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time, and speed potions are going to make it go faster. I will say one of the things, because we've kind of talked about Prince's limitations here. I should show off Hunger of Hadar. Hold on. Ha-boom. See? The big tentacly void. And if there were things up here living, it would have sucked it all into the void. So yeah, if you're going to use Prudence, because she is a single target DPS with a very long base attack cooldown, I recommend teaming her up or pairing her up with champions that can create AoE. There are 2 evil champions that do that. Krull with his traitor, and Baloth with his... I get this every time. Every time. Baloth, what's your ability that blows everybody up? Morbid Excitement, right? No. Cause for Celebration. Enemies killed by champions in the column ahead of or behind Baloth explode into magical paper confetti, dealing damage and slowing enemies near them. So, yeah. So you can get Cause for Celebration on Baloth, or Krull's Traitor Effect. Yeah, there we go. Krull's Traitor Effect works well because that's going to, if you hit something with Traitor on it, it's going to apply those stacks. This is the Traitor one that basically damages everybody else. Those 2 synergize well with, in my opinion, with single target DPS across the board, which includes Prudence. So keep that in mind. That is a way to generate some extra wave clear out of a limited target champion like Prudence. All right, folks. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I already see about almost 20 questions that Martin has grabbed from the document, and we will start going through and doing Q&A. I will target anything about Ahghairon's Day, Jim, Omen, and Prudence first, and then we'll go into just general Q&A. So hang out for a moment while I drink some water and not use my voice, and we'll listen to Release the Kraken from Bardic Inspiration.
At the dawn of time, we fought for the gods. They were ended and we shattered our bonds. Now we own the sea is lying in wait. Intrude on our domain and you'll be our prey. From the darkest depths we serve. Dawn of nature, we emerge. Release the kraken. It's time for slacking. I am your nightmare and I'm coming for you. Release the kraken when I'm attacking. I am destruction and oblivion too. Chaotic evil lord, scourge of the deep. We are the darkness and we'll never sleep. No dragon, turtles, and no octopus can save the hunger of this undersea gods. Our domains will claim your share. In all the apocalypse, release the kraken. It's time for slacking. I am your nightmare and I'm coming for you. Release the kraken when I'm attacking. I am destruction and oblivion too. Release the kraken. It's time for slacking. I am your nightmare and I'm coming for you. Release the kraken when I'm attacking. I am destruction and oblivion too. I am destruction and oblivion too.
And we are back from our break. We have released the Kraken, and now we can talk about questions. Q&A from chat, folks. From Donnerbart, does it matter if I use my bounty contracts on a high or low area in regards to the amount of event currency one gets from them? No. The only thing that determines the amount of event currency from a bounty contract is the rarity of that contract. Ichinosuke, if I unlock the 3 champions, I can later complete the others' missions. New player difficulty deadly on some missions. So yeah, if you unlock the 3 champions, just do their basic ones. Then what you want to do is then free place. The deadly rating on the adventure, on the variants that come after those unlock missions, is based on your favor amount. That's the only factor of it. So you have to go to make that difficulty rating change. You just have to earn more favor. That's in your best interest because the more favor you earn, the more gold you get during a run in an event. And that means the more you can upgrade your champions, and thus the stronger they are, allowing you to complete it. Hold on, let me just make sure this question is related to this. I don't have all of these memorized. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Oh, wait, no, it is this. How much favor, Brelk, how much favor do I need to make the reclaiming green? Well, reclaiming the past is the base adventure. It just is what it is. You can complete that when you start. You don't have to worry about that. If you're just doing these unlock missions, you can't earn favor before starting the event. So you've got to just dive in and pick one of these and do it. And then that will adjust, ratings on the others based off what you have. But yeah, for these base adventures, these base unlock adventures, the rating in the event specifically, the difficulty rating isn't important. The difficulty rating you want to pay attention to is in these variants that are the drop downs below them. Each adventure comes with 3 variants. And that's what you want to raise favor for, not just reclaiming the past. That's not as in that one. Those you can finish. I believe in you. You can do it. In regards to Jim magic base attack mission, what tank qualifies for magical attack damage? None of them. So when you don't get tanks, you just have to make sure you have enough favor that you're killing everything before it reaches your champions, which, I mean, that just requires you over-leveling your champions, giving them a lot of favor, and they can do it. They can do it. You don't have to go too far. I don't need these 2 out. Why do I have these? Oh, I was showing off them. Yeah, all right, there we go. Yeah, you don't necessarily need it, but currently we don't have any magic attack damage. Magic base attack default things, and this is when you're looking at these variant restrictions, their default base attack has to be magic based, or they don't qualify. Are there some tanks that can get magic base attacks? Yes, but you can't use them with restrictions like this because that's not their default. Simonos, if you can't get missions to turn green, because I'm new and favor only racks up to a few million and all characters are new, we should focus on gearing up first. Well, even if you're new, you can get them to show green. You can. You just need to work on building a good formation. You need to push deep to your wall and favor farm. These are things that you absolutely can do as a new player. Now, you may not be able to do all of them. I know on my new player account, the first event I had tried on that one, I didn't finish all the variants, but I was still able to do some of them. So I know you can do it. There's resources in the Discord to help you, both in terms of the formations channel and the new player channel, and then there's guides on the Reddit for all of these things. You can do it. Who should you focus on gearing up first for just running free plays? I mean, that's going to be your call. What is it that you think your pushing formations need? Like in slot 3, you're usually using Nayeli as a tank if you're brand new. So you're probably not going to bring Omen in a lot because you need a tank, right? So that may not be the highest priority. Slot 5, you've got a Shielder and Calliope that's helping your tank survive. So maybe, and you've got a Shara as a DPS default. So you may not need to necessarily focus on that. But when we get over here to slot 7, your default support champion is Minsk. And he's real swingy as a support champion. He does have some base damage all champions bonuses, but mostly it's his favorite enemies, and favorite enemies don't always apply. So Jim as a support, backing up a Shara, may be what you want to look for if you're brand new. So getting good gear on Jim may help you out in that regard. So these are the things you have to keep in mind when you're making these kinds of decisions. What champions are you using out of those slots, and what are you really missing in your roster? But generally speaking, Omen gets used a lot in gold find formations. So for most players, Omen would be a priority just to swap in when Azaka farming. And then it's up to whether you want to go with Prudence or Jim for the second. But if you're newer, yeah, Jim may be more functional than the other two in general play. Immortals, even event champion chest feats say available in gold chests. Does that mean regular gold chests or champion specific gold chests? Regular gold chests. So feats currently only drop from regular gold chests. So those are the ones you buy with gems. There's a 1 in 25 chance, but there's no pity timer. So, it's full on playing the odds. Are you planning to create an automation function for new players to use? Me? No. I'm just no. I don't code or anything. I don't use scripts myself. If you're talking about CNE, like the developers of the game, whose channel we are on, I don't know if that's something on their plan to use. I believe that's the whole point was of Modron was to allow in-game automation. They did put it behind having a second champ in each slot. Might they look to have like a new player's first Modron, which is like something you unlock sooner? I don't know, maybe. But right now, automation in-game is linked behind completing split the party and thus having 2 champions in every slot, which is something you can get to in 3 months or less with the way you earn champions in this game. Can players with less than 24 champions use automation function? No. You have to have... I mean, you can use outside scripts, but that's not supported in the game. That's not something we can discuss through official channels. You would have to go to the hashtag scripting channel. That's the only place you can have that conversation. But automation right now is based on Modrons, and that is you need a minimum of 2 champions in each bench slot. Would that Pure Hunger mission be a good place to farm Zorbu kills? Not really. Not really. What you're looking for there is a place where you want things that either only spawn that type, or when they do randomly spawn that type, when you kill them, they spawn more of that type, and thus eventually you end up with only that on the screen. And that's not one of those situations. I guess I was... Yeah, all right. How to get Prudence. You fire up the game. You may need to restart if Ahghairon's Day isn't showing up at the top left under that DLC banner. Hold on, let me hide it again. Oh, bam. Up there, top left, Ahghairon's Day. Or at the bottom, depending on what platform you're on. You find Ahghairon's Day on the map screen. Click on it, come over here, and you're going to do Reclaiming the Past, Prudence. And that's how you get Prudence. Once you complete it, Prudence is your reward. Did I put it back? Yeah, I put it back on. Whew. Okay. Can Jim transform a mimic into a chicken? Yes. Yes. You just have to keep going and see if it turns the mimic into the chicken. It will eventually. It's the best way to get purples in events. Doing the variants will get you guaranteed gold chests. Other than that, the only other way to get gear for your champions is to run free plays, complete level 50 over and over and over again. For that champion, you'll get a random chest. It can be silver or gold. You're guaranteed if you have the worst luck, you're guaranteed to get 1 gold every 4 runs. Guaranteed. You could get more, but that's it. That's what you do. How to set up watch and learn for her achievement. It's pretty hard. Oh, I went over that. Yeah, basically you need to set her up to get at least 60 stacks or more. It doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't really work at 50. It doesn't trigger for some reason, like you would think it would. So give her at least 60 stacks and have her be the only one killing. Which is the champion that needs more item levels of these 3? They all need item levels. All three of them need item levels. If you're using Jim as an actual support character, he needs item levels. If the only thing you're using Jim for is just to chicken things, he doesn't need any items at all. So it just depends. Just depends. Don't you get gold? Only get gold chests from levels over 300 as a random award? No. I don't even know. That's not even a number. Ground Zero, I'm not sure where you got that idea. 300 isn't a goal for anything, for any kind of a chest reward that I'm aware of. In events, time gates are different. In events, your reward for running a free play and completing level 50 is a random chest. It's completely random. There's no way to increase your odds of what kind of chest you get, and it is just from 50. So you literally don't have to go, you just have to complete 50 and then reset and do it again. In time gates, every 100 levels, every unique 100 levels, you get a silver chest. But there's nothing that gets you gold chests related to guaranteed for anything other than just doing the variants that reward a gold chest. It's the best way to get Jim's achievement. Oh, you just have to use Jim. You just have to use Jim near your wall. When the formation comes under attack, he'll hop into his hidey box, and then he just has to be killing stuff. So you just got it. Just takes some time. Which free play stage is the best to farm favor in this event is a new player. Prudence's. Prudence's is very friendly. Very friendly. All right, I'm going to go back. I did a couple general ones, but let's go back and do more general ones. More general questions. What's your favorite Forgotten Realms novel? I don't do favorites of things in general, so I'm just throwing that out there. I enjoy reading all kinds of things, just like movies and music. Like, I don't like to do favorites. It seems like that's... I don't know. I guess I just don't... Nothing ever really jumps out like, oh my god, I only ever want to read this book forever and ever. Some people, maybe. I've never felt that way. I enjoy some books and want to read them multiple times, but I don't have a favorite. I will say I have all the Legend of Drizzt books. I have I think I have all the Elminster books. I've got a bunch of, I have the Cleric Quintet. I've got a bunch of the Time of Troubles books. I have some compilation books for the Forgotten Realms. I've got a couple Ravenloft books over there. That's not really Forgotten Realms. But yeah, so I have a bunch. I enjoyed the Brimstone Angels series. I own all of those. Right now I am reading the newest Drizzt book that just came out. Starlight Enclave? Anyway, it's book one of a new series, so it's good. It's good. Real question as opposed to a fake question? Is upgrading click damage that important? I clear without using. What are your thoughts? It depends. So in this game, for the most part, what click damage does is kill things early on. So speed you through lower levels to get to the meatier portions of the content where your champions are what needs to kill things. Because this is a formation strategy management game. The game was designed around you building a formation that clears enemies, but as a way of making things move faster in the early game, click damage helps out. Generally speaking, you want to look at this click damage level number down here. Hold on. Is it showing up now? There we go. So the bottom left, it currently says level 167, and you want to compare it to the area that you're on at the top right. As long as your click damage level is higher than or equal to the area you're on, you're still going to be killing things instantly or near instantly with your click damage, and you can continue to rely, like right now, where I'm 100% killing things only with familiars. And you can rely on that to let you progress faster through these levels. Once your area level starts to get higher than your click damage level, I mean, sometimes it'll go a little further, depending on, what other things you have that reduce health, or if you're an eventer and whatnot. You can go a little past that level, but at that point, you can start fully investing in your champions because they're what's going to be killing things going forward. Now, this game is the poster child for exceptions to rules. Every rule that you can create for this game, there is an exception. And that's fine. I think it's good. But in this case, the exception is there is a strategy. There is a high level, high favor, high level strategy where click damage can continue to kill things at high levels. But there is still a period in between for most people where you're still killing with the formation. This is referred to as click debuff. It relies on having a bench that has lots of debuff-based champions that you can put in, and having a lot of favor, not only to upgrade those champions and have them have their debuffs at high values, but also to upgrade your click damage to a point where, because it scales in a kind of a perfect tray line upwards, whereas champions have like curves in there and then eventually plateau at the soft cap upgrade. So once you're past that soft cap upgrade, high levels of favor, like in the E30s somewhere, I'll get that number knocked down for a future stream, because it really depends. The amount of favor you need really depends on how many click debuff champions you have and how strong they are. So it can vary quite a bit, but you have a lot of debuff champions out there, you level up your click damage a lot, and you just click your way, you click kill through things because they're debuffed in such a way that they're taking more damage from any source, including click damage, and then you can progress really far with click debuff. It's real slow. It's real laggy. But it can work. That's the other kind of extreme use of click damage. But generally speaking, click damage just gets you through early levels faster. What's the chest with the blue ribbon in the lower left corner? It's a present. It's a present. What? So I get banned for succeeding? No. You get banned for it's not a ban. They call it a ban wall. This is a case of people using terminology somewhat incorrectly. Bans tend to be permanent things. Suspensions are temporary. So technically your account gets suspended if you go to a level that, for all intents and purposes, you shouldn't be at. The game currently, through normal play, you can't get that far. You can't get that far. People can get over 1,000, but at level 1,002, the damage scaling on enemies changes, and they one-shot you. They one-shot you. So if you're getting to 1,500, you're using some kind of method of gameplay that was not intended by the developers. Yeah. Or there's a bug out that you are either knowingly or unknowingly taking advantage of to get there. The point is so they slap your hand and say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And that's how they let you know. And then you know, hey, I shouldn't be there. I shouldn't probably do that again. Some people continue to do it, and then that's on them. If they get suspended again. Most people know this, and they just tend to stop before they hit that point if they're going to try to do that stuff. I got a feat in a gold chest that gives wisdom to Delana, but why would I activate that feat? What does wisdom do? Stat feats in general exist to enable certain champions to receive buffs from certain other champions, to qualify for certain variants, whether just a regular variant or a patron variant, or to qualify for a patron at all. There are also rare cases where there are certain bosses in the game that make you do saving throws that are based off those skills, like those stats. So these are why these exist. Whether you want to use it or not that's your choice. But for the most part, that's what stat feats are going to do. Some of them may or may not actually serve that purpose. They may just exist as a bonus, but that's their actual function. Yeah, I did this one. I feel like this is a time gate question, and I'm real confused. Dinar, Turiel, or Birdsong? It's not a natural time gate weekend, so I'm not sure why you're choosing between 3 champions. But if I had to choose between those 3 champions, O'Leary, I would say Dinar. But truly, I don't know what you're doing. Because if you're doing a manual time gate, you can pick any champion you want. Yeah. You say stuff like core champions and evergreen champions. I know what core champions are, the 12 you start with. But what are evergreen champions? Evergreen champions are champions you can unlock at any time of the year outside of time gates or events. The first evergreen champion you should unlock, which I just consider a core champion, is Hitch. You do that by opening the settings and clicking on the newsletter and signing up for the newsletter. You get Hitch for free right away. Hitch is a Delana swap, and a fantastic one. And you also get free chests every week. And in the holidays, they've given us free skins in the past. Yeah. The other evergreen champions are ones you earn by completing certain variants in campaigns. So Dritz Doerden, of the books I was referring to earlier, is unlockable in the Sword Coast campaign fairly early on. Tomb of Annihilation has both Azaka and Dragonbait as evergreen unlocks. Waterdeep Dragon Heist has Alcoria as an unlock. And Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus has Rhea as an unlock. I recently, on my new player account, I've unlocked Dritz. Last weekend, I unlocked Azaka on stream. There's highlights for those on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. This weekend, tomorrow, it is the weekend, Gaarawarr. Tomorrow, at noon Pacific, I'll be doing a Dragonbait unlock live on stream on my new player account. I'll be attempting to do it kind of with an arm tied behind my back, in the sense that I haven't opened any gold chests at all on that account, so my gear is at most blue. And I'm going to attempt to do it with just core champions just to see if it's possible. But ultimately, I'll end up swapping into whatever I have to do to beat it, because that's how you do variants. And then if I have enough time afterwards, I've also qualified for Split the Party, and I may run that as well on stream tomorrow as well. So we'll see. It's just a time thing, but yeah. So evergreens, yeah, you earn them, you unlock them. I consider them milestones. When I built out the new player reference that I have on the subreddit on my wiki page, like on the guide page on the wiki, I based it around evergreens as the milestones that you're working towards. I'm currently, as I'm playing through this new account, I'm trying to rework that guide, and just make it a little more new player friendly with the current state of the game. So it's going to be getting updated over time. I need help with formation advice for El Terrell's Last Stand. Oof. I have all my champions at their soft caps and all potions used, and I hit my wall at 550. I don't remember the goal for that level. Mitch, what's the level goal? Is it 600? If you're that far off, it may not be your formation. You can check, you can post your formation and have the hashtag formations channel in the Discord. People will check it out. But it may just be that you need more patron perks, that your Modron core needs to be a higher level and have purple flow. Like, you need a lot of power, and it may not come from champions. When I did El Terrell's Last Stand, because the issue here is, spoiler alert, folks. The issue here is you're fighting Tiamat, all 5 heads of Tiamat, and it is a DPS race. You have to kill the heads faster than they can regenerate, or else you'll just be sitting there fighting them forever. So you need to be able to quickly administer damage. You need to do that. You're going to need a multi-attack champion, and potentially champions that give you extra credit against armor. That's champions like Esmeralda and Human. So that you can burn through the heads as quickly as possible. You can't necessarily rely on ultimates for that, because you can burst them all, but then they have long cooldowns. So you just have to have lots of consistent damage and power, and that takes patron perks and Modron cores alongside your actual champions. I've seen 575. Yeah, that's still too far. I mean, if you've got all potions, a formation adjustment might get you there if you had something that was glaringly off, but otherwise, just more power. More power. What book would you like to read again, but for the first time? Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, I've read a lot of books. I have no idea. Ahgairon, how many monitors do you have? 4. 4. I've got 2 in a stack in front of me, and then one on each side in like portrait mode for streaming and producing streams. Recently made a Zorbu video and mentioned a good place to farm undead was an Avernus variant where the undead stand back up. I was about to dive into the Avernus campaign, but I noticed a similar variant in Sword Coast called March of the Dead. Is there a reason this variant is not ideal for Zorbu farm? Hold on. It depends. It depends. In the same mission area where you find Mad Wizard? Oh, here. Off Terror in the Dark. It probably wasn't noted because... Well, hold on. Spawn and attack from it. When they're killed, they don't disappear. Yeah, I mean, you could do this too. In general, people tend to have knocked out... It probably wasn't mentioned because in general, people tend to have knocked out all the stuff in Sword Coast before they pick up Zorbu. And you can't really go back and do variants unless you're doing them under a patron. So, but yeah, I mean, that would work too. Ultimately, it's just somewhere where you end up with only undead on the screen. So, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I just listed off suggestions. Like these are the ones that I know off the top of my head. It doesn't make it an exhaustive list. There are so many variants in this game. I can't keep track of them all. Let's see. Is there any payoff for getting all the achievements for each character in the event other than personal satisfaction? I mean, you get the % for each one of them, but that's it. I mean, it's getting them all doesn't give you any more bonuses on top of that. Over time, they all stack up. Like if you'll notice, I'm at 498 out of 502. That gives me a 2.86 EO4% increase to all champion damage. So, yeah, I'm not going to say no to that, right? But it's, there's no bonus just for getting them all outside of the bonuses you get for getting them all. Like I'm still missing one each from Midsummer and Founders Days. I haven't done the specific champion unlocks for the newest champions from those, but all the others are done. Could you demo Prudence with Baloth and Krull? I mean, I can. I don't know that it's going to do anything here because everything's dying instantly. So it's really something. It's really about doing this on a level where stuff isn't dying right away, and enemies are building up, and that's just not going to happen here. I'll leave it like this, but you're not really going to see the effect. Basically, when you have a massive amount of enemies building up on your tank. Oh, hey, there's the Heidi box if people wanted to see that. When you have a massive amount of enemies building up on your tank. And you can build up plagues like that, like you were seeing there on that log and whatnot. You just start getting AoE explosions between Krull and Baloth. That's what you're looking for wave clear. But you want that from anyone. I mean, you use these characters with anyone, right? Like I use Krull and Strix on my new player account. Zorbu and Krull is a big deal, and Baloth just makes that even better. I mean, you're adding that AoE damage to anyone. The point here is that Prudence is at kind of a bit of disadvantage with a single target attack with a 7-second cooldown. So anything you can do to make that spread and give her AoE wave clear, you kind of want to do. Have you read Malazan Book of the Fallen? No. Do subsequent clicks grow in damage? No. What you see with the numbers increasing is it's keeping a running total of the damage you've done. You're not clicking for more damage. It's a weird thing they do in this game. I don't know why they do it. Where am I at? Oh, why doesn't Grim work with Ashara's human bond? I don't know. It sounds, if it's not, and it sounds like something you would want to put a ticket in for. Whenever you run into something in the game that doesn't work the way it should, like the way you feel it should, submit a ticket. Either it's a bug and they'll let you know it's a bug, or they'll explain how it works to you in the email. Either way, that's a good thing. Why do the devs care how far we get in a single player game, and why are they monitoring us? For the most part, they don't care, which is why they allow scripting to even be discussed, again, give you a channel for it in the Discord. It's not officially supported. And a lot of these other things, like they've got a well of spoilers where if you data mine, you can talk in that one room, but that's generally speaking not something that they want shared outside of that room. Like there are things that, for the most part, they're like, do whatever you want as long as it doesn't impact other players. Here's why they care about how far you're getting, though. If you're using, if there is an unintended situation that allows people to actively skip the whole point of the game, that's a game balance problem that they need to think about and resolve. Because if completing the game boils down to just getting 3 champions, running their item level numbers up super high, and then nothing they try to do to build challenging puzzles for you to solve in this game in terms of variants and formations and stuff matters anymore at all. And no other champions matter. Like the whole game is pointless at that point. And that's not the type of game this is. This game isn't about, some people want it to be this and they'll play it this way, and that's totally fine. But this game isn't just about how high can you go and how far can you go. This game is about, can you solve all these puzzles that the developers have put in front of you? Can you use these formations and these champions you have to complete this content? That's what they release when they do their releases. They do variants and adventures, and they're trying to give you new challenges. There's no challenge involved in killing one thing and then skipping past all the bosses, right? So yeah. And that's the only way you can get that far. So this is a way for them to know. Developers will put in things like this because they get a report that tells them, has someone gotten past this level? And then they know that there's something wrong in their game, and they can start trying to figure out how to do it. Now, there aren't a large number of people doing this, so they haven't made any major decisions about how they're going to change that yet. They are thinking about it, talking about it, trying to figure out what they want to do. But that's part of game dev. Part of game dev is making sure you are building a game that provides an interesting experience, whether single player or multiplayer. But you want to make sure that the time and effort you're putting into something is creating a challenge for people, and it's not just, well, all I do is use these 3 champions, and that's all I ever use for the rest of the game time at all, because that's not exciting for people, for most people anyway. And they have a lot more people to think about than just those people, that tiny percent that want to, play the game that way. There are a much larger number of people who would like to see different champions and enjoy using different champions, and would rather see champions, not necessarily be overpowered, but be more equal, so that you have the fun or interesting interactions you can try to build with different champions and find different combinations and uncover cool new ways to push a little further. But to completely just make the whole game pointless that's a problem. How do you gift things in this game? You don't do it in-game. If you're on Steam, you can use Steam's gifting to gift certain DLC. Is Prudence out yet? Yes. Or you can see how many Glee stacks you have on Prudence. Probably over here. Yeah. Outgoing effects under formation buffs. Glee. Is it best to switch from speed effects when you get to your wall? Well, I mean, so if you're using speed champions in a formation and you're going real fast, you will first hit what I refer to as a speed wall, right? Where the point where that formation isn't going to push you any further. And then you have to start slowly swapping into a pushing formation. It isn't like your actual wall, but it is a kind of wall, and you just need to adjust your formation as necessary to continue pushing further. And eventually then you'll be in a full pushing formation. You may not have any speed champions in at all, depending on what you're using. Just depends. there a list of stuff that you can get banned for? Found out yesterday you can improve Briv so you can skip most bosses. Is that cheating too? No. I mean, that's not... I like, there are lots of different thoughts on this in the community. It's not cheating to use a champion in its intended way. And it's not cheating that you're not getting suspended because you're cheating. There are some people who could be manipulating the game data, hacking into the game data in a single player game, and thus cheating to get further than they should and get things that they should. And in that case, that's a whole different thing. We're not even talking about that. This is unintended interactions between champions that trivialize the gameplay. Again, not cheating. They're not banning people for that. They are giving people suspensions if they go past a warning sign they've put in the road that says, hey, you shouldn't be, the game isn't in its current functionality with the way we've intended. Going past here is not intended. That's what 1002 is. And then if you go past that to a significant degree, you get a temporary timeout. If you do that repeatedly, there may be actual problems. But again, we're interchanging the term ban and suspension. And those are two different things. Bans tend to be permanent. Now, there are things that will get you banned in this game, and they've stated that before. If you do anything with the game code that causes problems for other players, so something that actually affects their servers, and causes a negative game experience for others, you very well could get your account banned. They're not going to give you a list of those things, because by definition, giving you a list of those things tells you what to go look for, right? That's not how you deal with those types of players. Omen's challenge is freaking hard, and he suggests, oh, you mean his achievement? Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that already. TLDR, go to the Sword Coast, put him in the middle. Make sure you're leveling him up to 380 and using at least Jim, but any other C team members you have in the formation. And once you have that going smoothly, hit his ultimate in that 30-second period should be enough to get you his achievement. Because the ultimate lasts for 30 seconds. Just out of curiosity, what's the current achievements cap? My achievements tab says 500, but I noticed yours is 502. The number depends on how long you've been playing and how many legacy achievements you obtained. And just basically what... and there's an optional achievement that they can grant... like by hand under other, that usually shows up down here past view the credits. That's like a community achievement. That's another one that could raise the cap. But usually what you're talking about are these legacy achievements can change things. So I have 7 of them. There were 8. If I did not have these, my total would be what? 495? My max would be 495. So for anyone who started after this change, the max is currently 495, and next event will be 500. But if you started the game before this, you had the potential to actually be at 503. If you were granted the community achievement, 504 would be the max. So it just depends on, those legacies in that community. They don't give you any bonuses. They're just a number, but it's all the other stuff that give actual bonuses. So you're not losing out on any power if the number is different, basically is what I'm saying. Why do you have to be in a run to see your chests? Because on the map screen they just don't load any of that information in. My next event replay will depend on if I received a gold or silver chest from my last run. Question mark? I don't know why there's a question mark there. That's just... okay. I've been going into a sword case free play just to see what I got. Well, it tells you at the end of your run. So hold on. Here. I'm just going to complete this. Here's what you get in it. You get a question mark over this. I don't know what I'm getting yet, right? But then when you get here and you hit skip, hey, it tells you right here. It puts the reward here. Hey, I got a gold. Yay! I got a gold Prudence chest. It shows you right here what you got. That's what this screen is for, is to tell you what you got during that run. You don't have to jump into another free play or another event or something to know what you got. It tells you right here. You just need to not skip this screen and actually look at it. The art is different. I mean, it's roughly looks like this, but the other one won't have all this gold. It'll have silver as the metal. And that's how you know what you got. So I know I can go in, you know, I know what I got. I don't have to go look it up. I got a gold chest. It does that for everybody. Just don't skip that screen. Don't skip that screen. Oh. I'm like, why didn't it just load in? Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Let me click that button, please. For the love of all that is holy, just let me click the button there. No, I don't have to worry about it. Now they'll level themselves up. Okay. How do you deal with the fact that Azshara is core and currently ruins self-esteem of all other champs by dealing 100% damage of a comp? Whoever, Darakus, whoever your primary DPS is always going to do 100% damage. They should be. That should be how you build. That's how you build a formation, is try to get your DPS to be doing 100% of the damage of the formation, or as close to it as possible. If you're saying how do you deal with the fact that Azshara is super strong, given no restrictions and the ability to use anyone in a formation, you don't have to, because this game is built around having variants that restrict you, and patrons that restrict you, and patron variants that restrict you even further on top of that. So you can't just ride through this entire game on the back of one champion. You have to have other champions to use. Now, do I personally think it would be nicer if there was more variety at the top of the meta? Sure. But at least right now there's two options. Before it used to just be Zorbu, and he was so far above and beyond everyone else that there was no other option. Now it's Azshara and Zorbu. Ashara's first, Zorbu second. But that's it. That's for people with like that are super tons of favor and items and stuff. Honestly, I found on my new player account that using a combination of Strix and Krull pushes me further than just a pure combination of Azshara, because, you know, being able to use powerful champions in tandem can combine to push you further than something. And Krull shares a slot with Azshara, so Krull will never be able to work with Azshara. So there are points in time in terms of what gear you have and what favor you have, where Azshara may not be your best option, and it's good to try and look around and see if there are better options. That's kind of part of this game, is figuring out when you get to a wall, can you push further with some other option that maybe isn't meta, but maybe works for you, because the game is highly subjective. Is there a particular point in a favor run that it makes more sense to open bounty contracts to maximize tokens? No, we answered this question at the top too. The tokens you get from a bounty contract are not affected by anything other than the rarity of that bounty contract. Does anyone know if Warden not applying a fourth debuff is a visual bug, or is it actually only applying 3 stacks? I think it's a visual bug. I think it brings up his icon, but it's empty on the first hit, and then it only goes up to 3 after that. It needs to be fixed because it's super confusing, but I think it's a visual bug. I don't know for sure. Question, is Zorbu even good? Yeah, he's fantastic still. I did a whole video on him. Trying to get Prudence's achievement. Any tips formation-wise? No. I like to have, like I said earlier, I like to have Krull and Baloth in to give explosions, but that's only going to help you on the achievement if she gets credit for those, and I can't guarantee that. So she just needs to be the only one killing things in your formation, and then sit on that level and let her kill things. How often do champions get rebalanced? Not often enough, especially lately. We used to get champion rebalances, what I would call somewhat regularly, and that has all but stopped. The last major adjustment to a champion was Krull's bug fix. We've brought that. I think the community in general has brought that up with the developers, and they know it's something we would like to see more of going forward. And I think, if I remember correctly, chat can remind me, weren't they just talking on a developer insights about how they built out some kind of internal tool that allow them to rebalance champions more easily so that they can do that more often? Isn't that what they were talking about? I could be completely wrong, folks. It has been a week here. I've been dealing with, like, we had leaks and stuff, and I had plumbers for multiple days, and even the day after the plumbers supposedly fixed everything, went out and there was a pool in the middle of our kitchen. It's been a week, folks. Right now I still don't have power in certain parts of my house because we've got one of our switches off on our fuse panel while we wait for something to dry out before we turn it back on so we don't short stuff out. It's been a week, folks. I think that's what they were talking about. Oh, that was to raise the soft cap. Okay. Honestly, though, I feel like that's also going to help them with potential rebalancing, so who knows. Okay, so that was a soft cap issue. Nah. Yeah, so I don't know. The issue is, I think the main issue is that Justin, who is one of the co-founders and who shows up on Dev Insights, is the only one that really does the rebalancing stuff. And he's busy, so it just hasn't been a priority, I guess. It would be nice if it became a bit of a priority, but that's not something I have any say in. Wouldn't a slight nerf to Ashara and Zorbu make the game more interesting? There's a lot of I don't know that. Trying to think of Ashara and Zorbu specifically. Ashara's issue is what made Ashara strong is her ability to basically not only buff herself with a bond, but then also get credit for it again, and then credit for someone else's bond. It just creates this multiplicative effect that makes her super strong. And to top that off with the fact that she's a multi-attacker, it's just, yeah, it's like chef's kiss. That's exactly what you want. I mean, there's probably some way to balance that. I don't know what you would do. Like, I don't know that you just change numbers. You have to be very careful with things like that. So I don't know exactly how that would get affected. Zorbu, I mean, Zorbu's been the way he has been for like 2 years now. I mean, some people are like, you know, you could maybe just cap his stacks, and I mean, that might be it. Or maybe he just doesn't buff himself with all his abilities kind of buff in and re-wrap in on himself, and that's what makes him super strong. But I don't know. I think it's more that other champions need to be adjusted, and then there's some tanking things that are going on that maybe aren't the greatest, and then there's all this speed stuff going. Like, there's so many things that just need adjusted in the game that, you know, I don't know what their priority is on that. I don't know. Currently, it looks like they have none, but yeah. Why nerf the two of them if they're balancing stuff? Just buff the other champions. Well, so here's why I hesitate to say one way or the other. It takes a lot less time to adjust 2 champions than to adjust the other 83. You know what I mean? Right? So it's a function of time. It's a function of time. So people don't like it when things get nerfed, but you know, sometimes you have a finite amount of time available, and in that time allotted, nerfing 2 champions may make more sense than buffing 83. Right? Like, I'm just throwing out numbers here, but you get what I'm saying. I would like to see, you know, a pass on all the DPS, but I don't get what I want all the time in this game, despite what some people may think. But yeah, in general, their idea, and the reason I was thinking that tool that's raising the soft cap more often, affects balance in general, historically speaking. for the most part, they have tried to rebalance the high-end meta by changing the upgrades you get when they raise the soft cap and trying to fix things way up here so that there are more viable champions at the top. But we've only seen like one soft cap raise in over a year. So this adjustment to this could help, but it would help specifically balance things at the very high end. It doesn't necessarily change things at the lower end. But we used to also get champion updates alongside that, which is how we got Ashara to where she is. She got a champion update. That's how Zorbu ended up where he is. He got a champion update, right? So, we have these strong champions, DPS champions at the top of the meta because they got champion updates after releasing in not a great manner. I don't think we have a lot more questions, but we still got a few minutes left, folks. What's coming up next week? Like I said, tomorrow I'm going to be unlocking Dragon Bait and potentially doing Split the Party on my channel. Noon Pacific. Noon. Hold on, I just went too far. Next week starts on the 16th. Looks like there's no Bardic Inspiration next week, but all the other shows I think are going to be back, and we didn't have Dev Insights this week, so it should be back next week on the 19th, hopefully. So we can ask the developers these questions because they're the ones you want to ask about balance and what should happen there. I'm just giving you my personal opinion, and my opinion does not hold any sway that I'm aware of. Internally at CNE when it comes to balance, despite what people may think. Again, why not release Prudence to at least be the equivalent of Shara? Folks, I'm just going to cut this off now. I'm happy if you want to if you have questions about how to play the game, questions about game design or development. If I attempt to answer these, it is my subjective opinion as someone who has not connected to that at all. I am not talking to the developers about game design in some channel and saying, hey, make these do this and that. And no, like, you can do that on Developer Insights. That show exists on Thursdays so that you can talk directly to Justin and Dave. Justin, who is the person in charge of balancing champions and redesigning them. You can leave your feedback on the subreddit. That's better than posting it in Discord, in my opinion, as a community manager, someone who has managed communities, because it's much easier to get a link to a post, a well thought out post or posts that express sentiment on a somewhere than try to flag down certain things in a Discord. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to answer any more questions about game development because I'm not the person that needs to answer those questions. I have nothing, and in general, I will say someone doesn't have to be as good as another champion because this game is built around restrictive variants that require to use different combinations, and you can't always use who's best. That's just the way this game works. If they wanted every champion to be equal, they would just give them all the same upgrades and powers, and the abilities wouldn't matter. They would all do the same things, and you would all end up in the same place, and it would just, that's kind of pointless, frankly. That's something you do that might make more sense in a multiplayer PvP based game, but makes no sense really for a puzzle type game like this, in my opinion. Cradle seems to have some weird double dipping stuff going on. Have you looked at that at all? No, I don't really use Cradle at all. So yeah, I haven't even heard anything about Cradle double dipping because I don't think many people use Cradle. So I would be interested to hear more about that if or read a post on it on the Reddit probably. Do you have a tip for third Modron slot unlocking? I find it very hard. Third Modron slot unlocking? So did you do Split the Party 1 and then buy the strong core and then you're trying to do Split the Party 2 and having problems? Kalinto, I'm not sure what that means. split the party. If you're just trying to do split the party 2, I mean, it's a little harder in terms of the difficulty ramping that they give the enemies, but because you already have a Modron core and should have been leveling it up before you got there, you have power, and more importantly, you should have gold find on that core to help you get through it. And in general, you have a little more control over who you lose in Split the Party 2 because it removes 60%. So when you're starting off with, like, in that first round of just putting 2 champions in, you know you're going to lose them both. So you just put in 2 that you know you can get through that, but then you don't want later. Yeah, I mean, it's all about managing your expectations going in and knowing what your kind of goal is. In that regard, it's just like Split the Party 1. I have a guide for that on the subreddit. I missed the first hour of the stream. Would you mind repeating it? Sure. After this stream ends, click on the VOD and I will repeat the whole thing for you. Are you planning anything special for your Wednesday stream? I don't have a Wednesday stream. Any quick tips for someone who just recently unlocked Split the Party and Modron cores? I've got guides for that. Basically, once you've unlocked your cores, you want to start making sure that for your patrons each week, you're buying those Modron chests. That's really it. Just got to make sure you're getting as many Modron chests as possible. If Prudence hits an enemy with Krull's Trader, does she get credit from the Trader kill, or does Krull? It's supposed to be her. In my understanding of how Trader works, it's supposed to be she gets credit. You're gonna have to test it out. Currently have over 400,000 gems. Second core at level 12, all evergreen epic, but still need lots of feats and refill contracts for the next event. Should I go for the third core or keep opening gold chests? Keep opening gold chests. That's more important to your progress than that third core, unless you're using a strength-based, like, melee champion, in which case that third core is going to help you out a lot. Last question, 69, nice. Do the various rarities of champion equipment add together, or does only the highest level rarity possess count? The highest one is what is used, but all of your item levels accrue and stack as a multiplier on that, so bonus. All right, that's it, folks. We are on our way out. I will have a good weekend. I will see you tomorrow if you come hang out with me while I unlock Dragonbait. But this is the Nox Who's There weekend. God love them. So we're going to go out listening to The Legend of Sergeant Nox from Bardic Inspiration. Bye, everyone.
Here we go. He was born with an axe in hand, standing ready to defend the land. Went from cradle to the wall to see the foes of never win or fall. When Valendra unleashed a scourge, he was there to perform the purge. From the bridges, gates, cliffs, and docks comes the legend known as Sergeant Nox. This former mercenary always retakes the city, unites us all with his rolling call. He's gonna knock you out, leave you seeing stars, gonna break your lies, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring the hurt, driving death out of town. When the blessed of Saluda come, his answer echoed off the marble halls. If you're looking for a helping hand, keep an eye out for this giant man. Celeste will do the healing with Mako's damage dealing, and in the front on Nox is holding the line. He's gonna knock you out, leave you seeing stars, gonna break your life, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring the hurt, driving death out of town. So go over this.